Hey everyone, it's Benj. Don't mind the very odd situation I have going on here. I'm in Palm Springs for a wedding this weekend, and as part of that, I'm kind of testing out the Q2 monochrome as well as the SL2S, which is filming me right now. So wanted to do a few tests, and one of those is something that I've always been curious about, and that is just color filters on black and white photography. I've shot a ton of rolls of HP5 and Triax and T-Max and developed a lot of that myself and all that kind of stuff, but I've never just felt the urge and the confidence, I guess, to try out some color filters because I didn't want it to mess with the image I already knew about. And so since I have this opportunity to use the Q2 monochrome, I decided to pick up some super cheap filters. These Lingo Photo ones, they were $13 on Amazon, but they're a set of 6 49mm or E49 if you're in the Leica world filter threads that fit directly on the Q2. So I'm gonna do a couple tests, one of which is going to be actually filming a quick video on the Q2 so you can see what these do to skin tones. And then I actually have a scene right outside my hotel room that has a lot of varying colors and tonality and light and everything. And actually it seems like it's gonna be a pretty good test for all these different filters. So we're gonna jump in, do those tests and see what we get. So here is how filters affect skin tones on the Q2 monochrome and basically regular black and white film as well. And from what I'm seeing, this is probably not gonna be super flattering on me. So apologies to both myself and the viewers. As the filters change how things are perceived in camera, it also changes the exposure. So I'll post what the actual settings are below so you can see how much of a bit of light loss you get per filter. Now I'll also say that these are not like Leica branded filters or anything expensive or nice at all. These are Lingo Photo. I picked up a 6-pack of these filters. You get the whole colors of the rainbow for I think $13 on Amazon. So they're not gonna be the best filters in the world, obviously, but they will definitely do the job in terms of showing us what the different colors will do to skin tones. All right, so this is obviously just right off the bat, just as is on the Q2 monochrome. I thought that this was gonna be worse than it is, and sorry that I'm looking down. I have my laptop because this doesn't have a screen and there's no HDMI output. So there's no way to view myself on here and make sure it's even recording. So I have the Leica Photos app running on my iPad, which is making things easier. I also shot a wedding yesterday, and so I look and sound terrible, but you know, c'est la vie. All right, so this is the base look on the Q2 monochrome. We are at f1.7 at ISO 200, and our shutter speed is at 1/50th of a second for that 180-degree shutter. So this is the red filter on the Q2 monochrome. We went from ISO 2000 to ISO 2500. Pretty significant drop in light. So here's what it looks like. So back down to normal, and we're gonna go just straight through the rainbow. So red, here is orange. From orange, we moved from ISO 200 to ISO 1000. So you're definitely losing less light by going in this direction. And here's what it looks like. So moving from orange, we're gonna go to yellow. I don't know, yellow is super popular with black and white photographers. It's a little bit more mellow and does some good things. So here's yellow, and we've really only bumped from ISO 200 to ISO 320. So about 2/3 of a stop. You could definitely go to 400 and just make it an even one stop. But this is what the yellow filter looks like. And here is where we're gonna start getting into some dicey territory in skin tones. So here is the green filter. And we are down from ISO 200 to ISO 1600. And honestly, it looks pretty washed out. So I don't know if that's like a filter thing. Looks all right to me. So green filter, blue filter, which pretty sure you're not supposed to use on people, but what are we gonna do? So here's the blue filter. We are at ISO 800, and that's moved us up 2 stops. This is what it looks like. You definitely get a lot more kind of detail and stuff in the face. So maybe with someone like with freckles or something like that, it could look really cool. But this is what the blue filter looks like. And finally, I've never actually seen someone photograph the purple filter, but this is what that looks like. And now we've moved from ISO 200 to ISO 500. So not too much of a difference, but you know, a little over a stop and a third. So this is what the purple filter looks like. So we'll do a quick comparison, and I'll just kind of do one of these things and we'll compare all of the different filters. So this is with no filter, red filter, orange filter, yellow filter, green filter, blue filter, purple filter. All right, back to normal, and we will jump in and see what these actually look like. All right, so jumping in here, wanted to do a quick little test on Q2 monochrome and the color filters. I'm gonna go out and do some more sample imaging and whatnot, probably later today or tomorrow. And before I go out and do anything like that, in any sort of real world scenario, I wanna just get a general baseline of how my equipment and things like that are gonna perform when I go out. Obviously, going out to do like a little walk around YouTube video isn't that big a deal, but it's just something I do anytime I get new equipment. So before the wedding that I photographed yesterday, the night before, I took out the SL2S as well as the Q2 monochrome, and then my Leica M10s, and just did some like low light, high ISO performance testing to figure out, okay, at what ISO are these cameras comparable? So where should I tomorrow when I'm at this wedding and in crunch time, you know, and not able to look and test and all that kind of stuff, know that I can push my camera to X ISO or whatever specific limits might be available. So I know that that's super important for me, and so I'm not gonna spoil the review on the Q2 monochrome in general or the SL2S. But suffice to say, it was definitely a good exercise because I knew how far I could push those cameras. On a black and white film camera or a monochrome camera, you're not actually recording any color information. You're simply recording the information of the light that is being brought into the sensor. And by adding a filter in front, you can either, you know, more accentuate colors and light being filtered in by those colors, or kind of diminish the light coming in from those particular colors, which can give you some pretty dramatic effects, as we will definitely see here. And about here on the screen, I'll show a quick iPhone image just of what this scene looked like. So with that, we're obviously gonna have a better idea of what these filters were doing than if I was just showing you a black and white image and then nothing else. But the great part about this is, as I walked out of my hotel room today, I saw in kind of an aqua color in the water, a more blue sky. We've got green in the trees. The palm tree has a green to yellow kind of gradients. The building is white with some shadows on it. The flamingos are pink. The tops of these little canvasy things are like an orangish red. So we really do have a lot of different color information going for us here. So adding these filters will definitely make it pretty obvious where a lot of that information is going. Let's jump into it. I've also added the kind of loop display on the top. So if you're interested and want to do kind of your own calculations on how much each of these filters are cutting in terms of light, you can, you know, definitely screenshot and do some calculations there. So here is the baseline, and we're just gonna go through each of these individually, and then I'll do kind of a comparison one-to-one without a filter and then with the filter next to it. So here's just no filter. Here's with the red filter, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So you'll definitely see that all of the exposure values had to change as we went through these filters, but in the end, they all are generally the same exposure, minus the fact that we obviously had to go through all of those. And clearly the most interesting thing, especially when you go through here really quickly, is how different some of these things are shifting. Especially you can see the pool and whatnot. So let's jump in and do the little comparison here so we can see the difference. And to me, in this particular scene, the most dramatic one definitely is the red filter. You can see it directly in the pool here, for sure. And then you can also see it in the difference between the flamingos. So you see that the flamingos and the pool in the non-filtered image are a fairly consistent, like they're much less contrasty, much less dynamic. So the red filter in terms of exposure is accentuating the reds coming in and then diminishing the opposite color, which is this cyan color. And so you can definitely see it in the sky as well as the pool. So pretty huge difference, especially in, yeah, the difference between the sky as well as the palm tree here. So moving down the line, this is the orange filter, and we're still getting some of that. You can see a definite big contrast difference in the palm tree there. Especially, we're gonna see this more and more in some of these within the branches there. But then going into this spot here again, you can see that there's still a big difference, but it's not nearly the same difference as when we were sitting here with the red filter. So here's the red, here's the orange. Now we'll move on to the yellow filter. We're definitely a lot more similar to the original. And so the yellow filter is a pretty mellow one in terms of, you know, just general color. You're getting some interesting things, but not nearly as much of a difference. So here is the green filter. And again, I don't know if this is the filter in particular, but it's a lot more washed out for sure. It does look like I've lost sharpness as well. So I can't see anything going on in the filter. So someone can correct me if the green just does that in general, but that's the green filter. Here's blue, and it's probably the second most dramatic next to the red. So here we are in here, and we're definitely seeing a lot more, you know, contrast, and especially in the palm tree, you can see a dramatic difference. And here we are onto the purple, and the purple is, in my opinion, sort of like the yellow in a way, or maybe even the orange, where it's kind of like a much more mellow look and not nearly as intense for this scene, at least. I'm sure maybe in others it might be kind of crazy, but the biggest difference definitely here is in this particular scene, because of what we have going on, is the red. But yeah, comment below and let me know what you think of those. Right on. Well, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions about this kit, I'm definitely doing a full review on the Q2 monochrome, as well as the SL2 and the SL2S soon. So if you have any questions about any of those, leave them in the comments below. And if this video piqued your interest because you are yourself a photographer who loves film and black and white and filters, and you have a lot of experience, obviously this was just a test for me, and I figured I would just document it for you as well. You know, leave that in the comments below as well. You can give your input and your insight into where I might have messed up this test, or where some of these things might have been lacking, and, you know, share your experience below. So thanks so much. Like this video if you found it interesting, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you on the next one.